fellow bookworms, Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and today we are celebrating 100 subscribers. So if you're one of the 100, thank you so much. And if you're not, please go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on a thing. And while you're at it, go ahead and give this video a like. It really does help the channel grow. But just appreciate all 100 of you that are subscribed and look forward to continuing to grow this community. But I was kind of thinking of how I wanted to celebrate. I was recently watching a channel of a disappointed man, and he recently reached 100 subs, and he did part one of a bookshelf tour. But I've already done that on my channel, and his channel will be linked down below as well. But I've already done that on my channel, and so I was thinking, what else could I do? So I was looking at some tags and whatnot, and I came across a bookshelf Q&A tag. This is by Hannah's Bookshelf, which is a blog. Again, that will also be linked down below. But I saw that and I thought that's perfect. And so that's the tag we are going to be doing today. So I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first question is, what's the oldest book on your shelf? And I wasn't sure if that meant by like original publication date, or like the oldest edition like physical book I have on my shelf. Um so I kind of went both ways. So the oldest book, this doesn't include like some of the collections I have. So I have like a collection of Shakespeare, I have a collection of Edgar Allan Poe, I have like Grimm's fairy tale collection. So this doesn't include any of those, just kind of like a standalone book. The oldest one I have is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, and this one was originally published in 1868. Obviously, this edition wasn't, but as far as like the original publication date, this is probably the oldest, like, so not including some of the others that are, you know, collections of older classics and such. So, and this one I actually recently hauled because I've always wanted to read it and never have. So that one I would say is the oldest by like original publication date. But as far as like oldest, as far as like edition that I have, is probably, let me pick them all up here. I have all these Bobbsey twins edition, and these were originally published sometime in the 1950s. Uh, and so I do have some others that are kind of old, like I have Black Beauty, but that one was about 1955. And I have like some that my stepdad had given me, like Prince Tom, I think was 1957, I want to say. I have some Snoopy books, I have some old Yeller books and such. But I think these ones are the oldest as far as like actual physical copies I have. So yeah, I have these. So that's kind of that interpretation. Like I said, not oldest as far as publication date, but oldest as far as the edition that I have. And so that was the first question. Like, so that's kind of how I interpreted it. But Sue, two, what is a book you'll never get rid of? So originally I was like, this one, Nora Roberts' Promise Me Tomorrow. And that's because this one kind of gave me a lot of grief to get my hands on. It was the last book I needed to complete my Nora Roberts collection. But people were asking so much money for this book when they weren't in very good shape. And the book itself's not like an amazing book or anything like that. But then I thought, well, without my Nora Roberts collection, though, this one really doesn't have any meaning to me. It only has meaning as part of the collection. So I decided it would be Nora Roberts' Chesapeake Blue, which you can see it's falling apart here. But this one is the first Nora Roberts book I read, and I just have such fond memories tied to this one, of my friend and just that time in general. And so, yeah, this would be the one I would keep for sure, even in all its glory. So that would be my answer for that one. And then three, which book has been on your TBR the longest? And I really kind of had to think of this one. And I decided to go with the Dragon Riders of Pern series. I just pulled these first two. So we have Dragon's Flight and Dragon's Quest. You can see these ones are falling apart as well. This one doesn't even have a front cover. But these are, again, books that my stepdad gave me. And I did try to read some of these when I was a child. They were so over my head, and I've always wanted to read them since then. And I haven't. Like, I'm kind of intimidated by them since I did try them as a child and it was over the top of my head. But I've always wanted to read these. And so I would say, since I've had these since I was a kid and I haven't read them, these would be the longest books that have been on my TBR. So, but it's the whole series because I have several of them, not all of them, but several. And yeah, I've always just wanted to read them. So let's see, what's the newest addition to your shelves? So I have two. We were at the grocery store and kind of walking through the book aisle, and I saw this one, A Face to Die For by Irish Johansen, and I was reading the synopsis of it. My husband and I are doing a budget now, so he has a budget for his game, and I have a budget for books. But this one is Riley Smith has been obsessed with Helen of Troy since she was a small girl. And so it kind of has that aspect to it and such. And I really enjoy Irish Johansen. I haven't read all of her books, but I have read several of them, and every time I just really enjoy them. And so I was not gonna pick this up, but then I was just like, it sounds so interesting since it has that Helen of Troy aspect, and I really do enjoy her writing. So this one, and then I watch It's Bells here on BookTube, and she uses the Tarot of the Divine for her TBR game. And I've always wanted to pick this up. And so my husband and I were talking, and he's kind of encouraged me to get a tarot deck of my own. I picked up one, but it wasn't like a full deck. It was more like oracle cards or whatever. But yeah, I wanted like the with the major arcane and everything. And I absolutely love the art style on this. I love that it's myth and fairy tale inspired. So I picked this up. So the other book that I got is a little hard cover edition that has the different like really short, like they're not long, like they're each a page, but just the different fairy tales that are in the deck. So when I got the deck, I decided I wanted to go ahead and pick this up as well. This is by Yoshitani, the deck and this little book as well. So, but I love the art style, and I'm a big fairy tale fan. So those are my two most recent picks. But I ordered this one at the same time as I picked this one up. So, this one obviously came in later, but I ordered it around the same time as I picked this one up. So those are my two newest additions. And let's see, what's one book slash edition that you desperately want for your shelves? And so this was a hard one because like I don't really care about editions of a specific book or anything like that. Um, and I've kind of picked up the books I want as I go along. But there are two that I've been really interested in. One, just because I just finished Kaikei, I want to pick up the Ramayana. Really, really interested in getting that for my shelves. I just put um, it on my wish list because I'm really interested in getting that now. Because I'm not all that familiar with the Ramayana. I'm familiar with a part of it, but not the overall story of Rama. And so I want to pick that one up. And the other one that's been on my radar that I'm just really, really interested in getting it is Ram, Ramanov by Nadine Brandes. It's like a Anastasia retelling, and I've always really enjoyed Anastasia, like the movie growing up and such. And so I've seen this on a couple of booktube channels recently, and I love the cover of it, and it just sounds like something I would really, really enjoy. And so that's another one that I would really like to pick up. It's also on my wish list, but I'm not sure when I'm going to get it. I think next haul. That one I'll probably pick up. I'm not sure about the Ramayana just because it's a little intimidating for me. But Romanov, Romanov, to me, ours, Romanov is one that I'll probably pick up. So, let's see here. Is there a book you own several copies of? So there's several Nora Roberts books that I have several copies just because I have some that are put together, with another book. And then I have some standalones and such. So I do have some repeats in that collection. And I also have a couple copies of Old Yeller, but the one I thought of when thinking of this question was Black Beauty, because I have this copy here and it's absolutely falling apart. I think this one was 1955 ish when it was published. It doesn't actually say, it just says Whitman Publishing Company, but it doesn't actually have a copyright or anything like that. But obviously, this is falling apart. It's older. I don't want to read this and destroy it. So I have my reading copy of Black Beauty by Anna Sewell. Um, and so yeah, I have these two. Old Yeller, again, I have one copy that's kind of falling apart, but it's really not that old. And then I have a reading copy of that one as well. So yeah, generally it's like the more vintage books, and then I have a reading copy. So, and then let's see here. What's the longest series on your shelves? And so this one was hard. I kind of had to think. And so I went with Heartland by Lauren Brooke. And this one I have 15 of, and it has more, obviously. The Dresden Files series has 17 plus two little short story collections. So technically there's 19 books of those, but those are actually my husband's, so I didn't want to count those. But that's probably I have the complete up to date publications of that. And it is longer than this one as far as like what I physically have. And then there's, as far as like my Nora Roberts collection, there's McGregor series. There's 11 of those books and such. But I think as far as like what I physically have, that's not my husband's. It would be Heartland for sure. There's others like I'm working on completing the Dear America series. Those are obviously going to have a lot more than these. Um, and the Boxcar Children's series, those are going to have a lot more. But as far as what I physically have, that is not my husband's. It's definitely the Heartland series, even though they're kids' books and they're really short. So, but that's probably the longest one I have. And how do you organize your bookshelves? So I kind of have like this bookshelf over here is my favorite authors. And so I have my Nora Roberts collection. I have Irish Johansen, V.C. Andrews. I do have the Dresden File books over here as well. And then my grandma gifted me her whole Danielle Steele collection, which there's so many books in those. So I went ahead and put those on the shelf. And then I have like my children's books together. I have my ABC author books together, my 25 Days of Bookmas books together. And then it's kind of just random like that. Like I have some that are more like thriller based. So I have like Stephen King, Dean Koontz, James Patterson. They're all kind of together. Lisa Jackson. They're all kind of put together. And then I have like my collections of like classics or like fairy tales and such. They're all put together. And then I just have my random like books that I just want to get through to decide whether I want to keep them or not. And they're all kind of on their own shelf. And then my husband has his shelves over here. So it's a little bit random, but it's kind of just based on like collections, I guess, and preference. So obviously the ones that I'm not as interested in are more pushed to the back because they're obviously harder to get to, and but I'm not going to be pulling them out a whole lot. So, and do you have any space for new books on your shelves? And technically, yes, but it's the very bottom shelf. And again, it would be hard to get to because any in the back will be hard to pull out. Um, and I do have books that are kind of piling up that could probably fit down on that bottom shelf, but I don't want to put them down there. So, yes, but not really. So, and let's see here. Do you decorate your bookshelves with anything? And I don't. My bookshelves are not decorative, so I'm not looking for the most beautiful editions of books or anything like that. Like, they are not meant to be decorative, which I know some people do. Like, they have their bookshelves to be decorative and they more read like ebooks or something like that. But my bookshelves are really about the stories and reading the books. And so decorating them, it makes it more difficult to get books out because you're having to move decorations around to pull out books. And so it's not about being pretty, it's about reading these books. And so I don't have any decorations or anything like that because I just want to have easy access to pull out books as I want to get to them. So, and the last one is just to show a picture of our on my bookshelves. So I'll leave those. I always do pictures at the end of um the video anyway, so I'll leave those pictures there. And I guess that's it. I'm not gonna tag anybody specifically. If you want to do this tag though, and you do, let me know because I would love to go watch your video. And like I said, the original creator is linked down in the description below, so you can go check out her blog if you're interested. And I'll go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.